So there is one criticism I have with the textbooks and with like a lot of courses that teach you languages. I'm not saying all. A lot of them do follow a formula similar to this. I've seen that in the Gramatica Ativa for Portuguese specifically, and in some like Spanish grammar books. But what I will say is that I feel like places that only have a focus on acquiring vocabulary and a bunch of different subjects and then having you progress that way aren't doing it efficiently. What I would suggest is when you start learning a language to master the present tense, the past tense, and the future tense. Obviously, in so mastering these tenses, you're going to acquire some necessary vocabulary that you need to operate in that language so you can be functional. But if you do this, you can actually use the language and be functional versus just knowing vocabulary that's a lot of which in a lot of these beginner textbooks or beginner courses that are like largely irrelevant. Instead of like being plagued with that problem, you'll actually be able to use the language. Then after that, you can start putting in aspect control and conditionals. Like if I would have known that, I would have done this. That's a little bit more complex than just a simple present, past, or future tense, right? That would be the next step. That's once you get the present, past, and future tense. If you take a look at the ACTFL proficiency guidelines, that is what gets you into the intermediate level of a language. Once you start getting control of aspect and conditionals and you have those major tenses down, then you start breaking into advanced low, advanced mid. And then you start trying to fill in, the bullet holes in the wall that you've constructed, right? That's the metaphor that I use. And so at that point, now you're just acquiring vocabulary, right? That's when you've gotten to a pretty good level. Advanced low, you start putting in, or intermediate high, you start putting in a lot of vocab. You get the vocab, you get to advanced low, advanced mid, and then after that, if you want to progress, which in my opinion, if you get to advanced mid, that's pretty freaking fluent, especially because it's like a really strong B2, it's B2.2. That's conversational fluency. Advanced low would be conversational fluency. That's good enough, but I would recommend advanced mid. After that, you can start refining your language, which would be the style, the idioms, and like other nuances that have to do with it. And that's more like progressing towards C1, I would say. But you can sprinkle that into your B2 level to make you more natural or native-like with the language.